Manners, respect people. Manners, respect people. Manners, respect Miss White. Big up yourself. Always more. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's doing amazing. People, it's almost the end of the month. Weather still cold, but at least we have something to look forward to. Summer, people, summer. Don't forget to order on sauce, book on a barbecue, parties, all of them things that if you promote the business, people can't just leave the business and not promote it. Thank you for no like and share people because my sister, my videos them I get share a little bit. It's better than one and two people. As we proceed, people. People, as I said, there's so much things are going on in the world. It's just chaotic. People are fight for them sanity, fight for them mind, fight for everything. I said things past, present, it not really change, The people them that's always have things set a certain way. Pretty much the same people them in power, And the thing about it is, uh, we always have resistance. We always have people a fight for changes. But it seems like so many people just accept them can't change it, so just leave it the way it is. Can't beat them, might as well join them. But it's okay for the people them are joining up. Just know say I know everybody are gonna join. And now we if you do for we part, that's what we have to do. So happy birth month to all of the people that were born this month. Happy birthday to the people that have birthday today. I have quite a few Mr. Yellows and Miss Yellow in my family. Someone give them a shout out because and probably think say me no remember. But I do remember people. Sometimes there's so much people I can't remember the exact date. But my always a show love. Um people, the thing about it is, right throughout history me I look upon and I say it's always been a struggle. It's not supposed to be, but it is. And many people think say it's a color thing, but me I get to realize that it's a good versus evil thing. More good versus evil than color thing. But right throughout history from I look upon some of them times here and it's like always, you know, war. When I look upon Hannibal Barker, this man I did it's like said someone did him did born for war. And it continued to the people. That's why I'm saying time people are shocked and surprised on what's going on with Trump and but that go on for how long now? That never stop. People them just now pay attention. That's why history is so important for we pay attention to. And that one of the things me says like say I find me calling highlighting these things. And the channel them I find there's people out there, channels out there highlighting these things, but because certain things you put in the algorithm and that you go get back what you put in away you get out pretty much. So today I'm gonna do this is the rise and fall of Jim Crow part 2. I'm gonna tell you about the channels them when I find these information on this I wanna Phoenix Sankofa. That I did find it. The rise and fall of Jim Crow part 1. So this is the rise and fall of Jim Crow part 2. And again, these are educational program people, because most of them channel them things that they not have no commercial upon them, you know. And at that me notice most of them company and them not want be affiliated with certain or you say educational programs or the true programs, the true information them not want be associated to them. But me say once you start put out the garbage, man, you see commercial every 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes you see a commercial. That them happy with. Yeah man, them things are good. If you sell this and you sell that and you promote this and you promote that, yes. But these channels, say people, are we have to support them in a sense. We just watch the program them so them can get the necessary traction. Right? And again, people want to like up the program and share the program because again, it's when I try accomplish something, it take people to participate. It take each and every one of us to put in a little piece. And every piece we put in is so important. So as we proceed, people, I'm telling you, me love talk, but and not just me for talk, it's for us to learn and understand. Can always put in an opinion, always suggest other things where we can highlight, right? Because I'm telling you, someone create the channel for people can come, them can listen, them can I'm gonna drop the link, then can always come in and participate. Because me say how it is, it's not just one of us, it's us. It takes us to get it done, right? Very interesting. As we proceed, big up on yourself.
As the 20th century approached, innovation, expansion, and optimism seemed passwords to America's future. In 1898, America flexed its muscles as a world power, declaring war against Spain. White regiments and black regiments fought shoulder to shoulder. It was glorious. We officers could have taken our black heroes in our arms. Lieutenant John Pershing. Black Americans embraced the war with optimism.
We left our homes, wives, mothers, sisters, and friends to break down that infernal race prejudice and to have a page in history ascribed to us.
But fighting infernal race prejudice would be far more difficult than fighting Spain. In 1898, the United States Supreme Court, having already allowed Southern states the right to segregate blacks, now approved denying them the vote. In the same year, most of the blacks living in the South worked the white man's land, averaging less than $1 a day. In 1898, 101 black men were lynched in the South. But one southern city, nestled comfortably along the Cape Fear River of North Carolina, seems to have escaped the worst excesses of the Jim Crow years. Wilmington seemed to be a racially moderate city, a condition brought about by economic prosperity and a strong black and white middle class.
The best feeling among the races prevailed in Wilmington. The Negro and his white brother walked their beats on the police force. White and black committeemen sat down together in the same council. White and black teachers taught in the same school. David Fulton.
It was a booming place for African Americans. They simply felt as if they were making a contribution to society 33 years after they were freed through Emancipation Proclamation.
It was a prospering African American community in the largest city in the state. They had attained some success in the middle classes. There was a growing mercantile class.
What happened was a number of blacks were able to transfer skills that they learned in slavery to private enterprise. On the plantation, they were blacksmiths, they were carpenters, they were teamsters. They had all these different skills that they learned in slavery, which they weren't being compensated for. But now they were able to take those skills and transfer them into business, and that's what happened.
That first generation out of slavery sort of bought the dream. They thought that they would get education, they would rise, they would be successful, and that kind of performance would prove their manhood and womanhood.
One successful Wilmington African American was Alex Manley, publisher of the Wilmington Daily Record, the only black daily newspaper in North Carolina.
He says his relationship with whites is good, and there's every reason to believe that. White merchants advertise extensively in the Daily Record, but he clearly sees the future place of black people as being full equality. There's no question about that. And he's constantly encouraging them to become equals economically, politically, socially, culturally.
There were many whites who were poverty-stricken, but there were many blacks who had very good paying jobs. Of course, they had their carriages and their nice dress, and they would shop, and they felt as if they had come a long way, and they were beginning to feel themselves in a prideful sort of way, and I think to a degree in an arrogant sort of way. So there we had much tension created.
Oh boy. They were feeling themselves in an arrogant way. I don't feel if self-confidence is an arrogant thing. But again, people, I'm telling us that it's how people look at us, you know. You hear me I say? How them feels that we supposed to be. How we supposed to act. How we supposed to talk to them. As we proceed.
How dare you think that you are so much better than I am?
It's partly economic competition, but it's also a grave concern that black people are beginning to feel the equals to white people.
White people became quite alarmed because if they were going to subjugate black people, they had to prove that no black person was capable of the things that these people were doing.
Blacks had attained a good deal of power in Wilmington in 1898. They were the majority of the population and of the voting.
Many of the blacks at that time held elected positions and very prominent municipal positions. They were appointed by the Republicans. Most of the Republicans at that time were black.
Justices of the peace, aldermen, magistrates, firemen, public health workers. Even though these might not appear to be very high prestige positions, at least they were examples to the black community and particularly to the youth of what black people could be.
Whites were fearful that the African Americans would begin to control the city of Wilmington since they were in the majority.
We have to look at two very basic issues. You have to look at politics and you have to look at economics. And whoever controls those two are in power. It was all about power.
That is so funny, and that's pretty much what it is today, people. Politics and economic. This one I say for the next generation, it's not about money, it's about policies. Policies are so important for us to understand. That's what I'm saying. Take out the civic out of the schools, them, right? Policies, right? And economic. That we talk about that already with the UIC because they're an independent party. They're not getting the funding from the oligarchies. So right through people, and telling us that them things are important for understanding. As we proceed.
Those two were in power. And it was all about power, about political power and economic power.
In the statewide and local elections of 1898, the Democratic Party, the party of white supremacy, was determined to end black political power in North Carolina.
It will be the meanest, vilest, dirtiest campaign since 1876. The slogan of the Democratic Party, from the mountains to the sea, will be but one word: nigger. Daniel Shank, Democrat.
They argue that only the Democrats can save North Carolina from what they call Negro rule.
Furnifold Simmons, who would go on to be a United States Senator, Charles Aycock, who would go on to be governor of North Carolina, and Josephus Daniels, who was editor of the Raleigh News and Observer. The three of them got together in a hotel and hatched a campaign that would talk about white women being endangered by black men holding office.
Jesus, them people. Listen, them people, I love that thing they lie, Listen, them people, I love that thing they call lie. You see how important lie is, though. Just the fact that them people can come up right through, it's always a lie them tell. Always a lie. This is why I say lie is so more important than the truth. Because them teach it, them practice it, and then live by it. As we proceed, people.
By black men holding office.
The white press portrayed blacks as monsters, representing them as an incubus, a mythical figure that raped women while they slept.
White women appeared in parades, on floats, in white dresses, holding up signs saying, "Protect us."
Deliberately fueling racial fires, a white newspaper published an inflammatory speech given by a leading Georgia feminist, Rebecca Felton.
If it requires lynching to protect woman's dearest possession from ravening, drunken human beasts, then I say lynch 1,000 Negroes a week, if it is necessary.
Manley's blood boils, and he dashes off his own editorial that conservative black people in Wilmington considered to be a truth unwisely said.
Our experience with poor white women in the country teaches us that the women of that race are not any more particular in the manner of clandestine meetings with colored men than white men with colored women. You leave your goods out of doors and then complain because they are taken away. Alex Manley.
The crowning thing that hit the white psychic nerve center was the very last sentence of the editorial, where he says, if white men continue to initiate sex with black women, sooner or later, white women are going to start to do the very same thing with black men. And that was not the political thing to say. That just drove white men absolutely crazy.
A former Confederate officer, Alfred Waddell, called for violence.
We are resolved to change the conditions under which we live if we have to choke the Cape Fear River with carcasses.
White men appeared in rallies all over the state wearing red shirts, which was sort of a pre-fascist kind of outfit that they had borrowed from South Carolina.
White employers are threatening to fire black employees who register to vote. So there's massive economic intimidation going on.
An organization of black women urged black men to vote or risk disgrace.
Every Negro who refuses to register this next Tuesday in order that he may vote, we shall make it our business to deal with him in a way that shall not be pleasant. He shall be branded as a white-livered coward who would sell his liberty.
Blacks meant to win by legal means, whites by any means.
We shall win tomorrow if we have to do it with guns. If we have not the votes to carry the election, we must carry it by force. If you find a Negro voting, tell him to leave the poll. If he refuses, kill him. Alfred Waddell.
Despite all the intimidation, many black voters were turning out and were voting. So the word goes out from Democratic headquarters that if we can intimidate the black votes and get a majority that way, we will simply stuff the ballot boxes. And that's exactly what they did.
Stuff the ballot back them people. And again, this still going on. Remember one time them they talk about who thief ballot back in a Jamaica, them things there. But people, them things are going from way back, Just the way we live, it's always been this way. So nothing new, people, nothing new. We just forget it. Like say it never happened. And then we shock when it happened again. As we proceed, people.
Every black candidate in North Carolina was defeated. But in Wilmington, the political victory did not satisfy white anger. A mob set Manly's newspaper on fire, and every black official was driven out of office.
They could not wait until it was time for the change of office to take place.
They decided to take control of everything.
It was basically a coup. They just took the offices away from the duly elected office holders.
So there are no longer any black officials in Wilmington city government.
The coup was followed by a massacre.
Firing began, and it seemed like a mighty battle in wartime. They went on firing, it seemed, at every living Negro, poured volleys into fleeing men like sportsmen firing at rabbits in an open field. The shrieks and screams of children, of mothers and wives, caused the blood of the most inhuman person to creep. Men lay on the street, dead and dying, while members of their race walked by, unable to do them any good. Reverend Allen Cook.
They went after business owners. They went after voters. They went after doctors and black lawyers. Those are the people they ran out of town because those are the people they saw as getting out of their place and therefore encouraging other black people to get out of their places.
Despite the odds against them, some blacks fought back. Others protested to the federal government.
Blacks from all over the United States wrote letters to the President of the United States begging him to intervene and to stop the violence and the killing in Wilmington.
President William McKinley remained silent.
I think it showed that the national government had lost its commitment to protecting the civil and political rights of blacks, especially in the South.
Charles Francis Bork, a northern reporter, witnessed blacks fleeing from the city.
In the woods and swamps, hundreds of innocent, terrified men and women wander about, fearful of the vengeance of whites, fearful of death. Without money or food, insufficiently clothed, they fled from civilization and sought refuge in the wilderness. In the night, I hear children cry, and the voice crooning a mournful song.
And those of us who were left found our places and stayed there.
The destruction of black political power in North Carolina unleashed a wave of racial discrimination, triumphantly announced in newspapers and printed on postcards. Facilities that were once integrated were now legally segregated. Public transportation and parks, restaurants and theaters, jobs and juries. The relative oasis that North Carolina had been for blacks was now a desert of white supremacy. But 18-year-old Charlotte Hawkins Brown was one young woman who refused to accept this way of life. Jim Crow was a challenge to be overcome, not an obstacle to prevent her from fulfilling her mission.
I sit in the Jim Crow car, but my mind is rejuvenated to strive harder, to build a race that will someday rise in majesty and break down every wall of segregation in American life. Charlotte Hawkins Brown.
Leaving Massachusetts, where she had been educated, she returned to her home state of North Carolina to teach.
When Charlotte Hawkins got off the train, there was no station, so she had no idea where she was. It was in the middle of the woods. So I think it was a little fear. You know, this is not New England. I'm in a different place. Where am I? I'm in this state. I have no idea. I don't remember. Yes, it's my home state, but where do I go from here? I think she adjusted well.
In 1901, she converted an old blacksmith shed into a schoolhouse and opened the Alice Freeman Palmer Memorial Institute. For the next 2 decades, she struggled to raise money to build her school into an outstanding educational institution. Because white donors were reluctant to support a school that developed minds rather than domestic skills, Brown had to use subterfuge.
When Brown begins teaching there, she has to say that she has a vocational school.
I think the reason that whites wanted African Americans to continue the agriculture and domestic skills was it kept them at a certain level. I mean, it did not give them the education to, inspire them to do more.
Her teachers.
Okay, and that's one of the things we talk about, people. Our education is so important. Why may I stress this so much? Education, because smart people have changed the world in so many ways. And just because we have skills, it doesn't mean so we have education, That's why I always read so much and I understand. All of them things here is me understanding, going through learning who I am from who I was is. Yes, me accept it, but me not really know. Because these conversations, we not have them conversation. We don't talk to each other much just to talk about, other than to talk about each other in the most disrespectful ways. But look from back when this lady, her main objective was to educate us. When we talk about when we talk about Gerald Hamilton, his mother did the same thing. His mother pushed education more than anything else because she worked with people, right? We send for them kids got college. As we proceed, people.
Teachers said that you would pretend to have a vocational school on the outside, and then you would go in your classroom and teach them French or Latin or anything.
And that pretty much was the Underground Railroad. We do one thing one way, and at that, I try to show you how skillful we was. We had imagination. Go right back to Hannibal Barker, right? Oh, him outsmart all of them people there. So I don't like say we don't have a brain, people. We do. We just don't utilize it for us. As we proceed, people.
And then you would go in your classroom and teach them French or Latin or anything that you knew.
As people said, she had highfalutin ideas and high aims for her students. And she was teaching the 3 R's, but she was also intent on teaching them leadership qualities.
During the early years, in order to raise money for the school, Dr. Brown had to come up with some type of fundraising solution. And she came up with letter writing to all of the Northerners, telling them what they've learned at the school, what they were doing, writing and requesting support, anything. I mean, anything.
And again, writing, people. Writing is so important. Write. How much time come I'm saying write. Write something. Write down on a history, on a story, whatever it is, and write something. So somebody else can look upon it and understand, say, at least your thought or something, nobody can say that's not how you thought or how you feel. Education, people, is so important for us. That's why I say when I say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I say, no, you can't put terrible and mind together. A mind is a great thing not to waste. So even how we speak and think about certain things, people tell us that the English language pretty much is a curse to us. As we proceed,
They could give at that time.
Dear Mrs. Worth, I have worried your patience, no doubt, but I have delivered the message of my soul to you. It is not the message of an individual, but the cry of a struggling race. Please make all checks payable to the treasurer, Charlotte Hawkins Brown.
I am sending you $10 for your school, which I hope will be put to good use. I advise you to instruct your girls to be virtuous, for moral looseness is an unfortunate quality of men.
virtuous, a big word. Instruct your girls to be virtuous, people, be respectable. Pretty much, that's what I take from being virtuous. Right? As we proceed,
Women of your race.
Her life was a balancing act. Her life was an act of trying to appease white people, white liberals who would give the school money and who would try to help the school in other ways. And then on the other hand, to try to work in an African American freedom struggle that she clearly saw as ongoing, that she clearly saw herself as part of.
She fought fights that people didn't usually fight in those days. They just went along with the system. But I think that if at any time she could go against the system, that's what Dr. Brown did. She took them to the movie theater, but she would have special showing, so they didn't have to sit up in the balcony.
She was, of course, as we always said, a woman ahead of her time. She was smart enough to use every opportunity to develop the students.
Yeah, she always taught us that you can be as good as anybody else, regardless of what your color is. She taught us that, and we appreciated that, because when you go around thinking that you can't do this and you can't that, you will never be nothing or something like that. She told us that wasn't true. We could be anything we wanted to be.
Recognizing the need of a cultural approach to life, I have devoted my life to establishing for Negro youth something superior to Jim Crowism. Sometimes the prejudice is so great, I feel that I can't stand it a day longer. But then I look into the delicate faces of the children and determine to stick it out no matter what the cost. Charlotte Hawkins Brown.
She never accepted that she was going to have to live like this. And she never accepted the fact that her students were going to have to live like this.
Charlotte Hawkins Brown tried to shelter her children from the racial storms raging about them. Others did not escape. Like 12-year-old Cy Williams, sentenced to 20 years on a convict lease gang for taking a horse he was too small to ride. 8-year-old Will Evans, who received 2 years for stealing change off a store counter. And Mary Gay, sentenced to 30 days for taking a hat. She was 6 years old.
you hear that, people? So now them people are talking about all of this. Oh my God. Listen to 6 years old, 8, 9. There's no age limit where you can't get hanged. You can't get lynched. As we proceed, people come and tell us it's always good against evil, you know.
By the turn of the century, tens of thousands of Americans, 1/4 of whom were children, had been condemned to hard labor in convict lease camps.
Convict leasing was slavery's replacement. It has been described as worse than slavery, and in every respect it really was. What typically would happen is that some landowner, somebody who needed workers for the mines, someone who was going to build a railroad, to come into a community and say, I need 600 men. And these companies would pay the states a certain amount of money for this labor. And it was a very profitable system for economic development in the Deep South.
To supply the demand for convict labor, sheriffs arrested blacks for misdemeanors and vagrancy. Judges sentenced them to far harsher terms than whites charged with the same crime.
And again, people, it's the same. That not change, you know. That does not change. That's the same thing that's happening now, people. That not different, you know. As we proceed, people.
For petty theft, a white man might receive 90 days in jail. A black man, 2 years on a convict lease gang.
To get the quota, law enforcement would not think twice about finding any able-bodied person, including 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids.
They cleared snake and alligator swamps, dug coal and gas-filled mines, built railroads and tapped turpentine trees in 100-degree plus heat. Men worked 14 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, in conditions that one convict described as 9 kinds of hell. Sometimes housed in rolling iron cages, like those used for circus animals, fed the worst of food, denied medical treatment, men died from malaria, scurvy, frostbite, sunstroke, dysentery, snakebite, and shackle poisoning. They were blown to bits.
Okay, so shackle poisoning isn't an avant the shackle them on them foot for so long. It become like infected and all of them things there. People tell us that all of them things I wouldn't talk about. Coming like some, I've been through all of this before, you know. That people don't understand. We've been here before. If we've been here before, we've been through this before. As we proceed, people.
Small explosions, buried in mountain landslides, drowned in swamps and rivers. Others were shot or tortured to death.
There was no need to clothe, there was no need to feed, there was no need to protect the lives of these men and women and children. Your life didn't have that sort of economic value, long-term economic value that plantation owners assigned to slaves.
At a time when over 100 men a year were lynched, thousands more were dying in convict lease camps. Death rates in some camps were as high as 45%, seldom below 15%. And while the poor were its main victims, no black person was safe.
This was about sustaining the dynamics of slavery through another mechanism. Instead of calling you a slave, you were called a criminal, a convict. And what that status meant is that people in power could do with you whatever they wanted. It defined a period in American history that, in my judgment, is still the most brutal and the darkest periods for African American people.
John Dollard, a psychologist and student of the South, observed, "Every Negro knows that he is under a kind of sentence of death." He does not know when his time may come. It may never come, but it also may be any time.
violence. It's really essential to this whole system of segregation. It's the signal that whites are sending that says, you're not safe, even if you go by the rules. You're never safe. Even your body isn't your own space. We can take everything, and we can dominate everything.
Oh. Okay, people. I'm say, what has changed since then and now? We talk about the two brother them will get boxed up out here. Yes. End up in a places they never been before. With them two plane ticket in them pocket. And that's not just one incident, people. That's why I'm gonna say hate, evil, and go hand in hand, people. All of them people are not human beings, all of these people do them things here. They're not human. Them think them are human, but they're not. That's not human behavior, the things that them do. As we proceed, people.
Oh, freedom. Oh.
From something as horrific as Jim Crow, as something as traumatizing as lynching, without some broader vision, without some transcendental vision. And the truth, you get so beat down without any hope at all that someone's going to protect you, that's going to save you. And music obviously became a way to signal to yourself that you are still a human being, even if you're being treated as something less than human. And to signal to others that you cannot take away the core of this creative, living, breathing spirit.
They cannot, people. You understand? They cannot take away our unlimited ability and try to stifle it and try to make us not recognize it. Everything divide and conquer. Everything, what I tell you, say. We still brought the color barrier. People. We still brought the color barrier, people. And we're still breaking every barrier them put in front of it. As we proceed, people.
Spirit.
To my Lord, and be free.
In the period after the Civil War, New Orleans was considered the most racially liberal city in the South.
In the period of Reconstruction, New Orleans basically chartered freedom for Black people here. Liberty, enfranchisement, interracial marriage, public education, improved literacy, to some extent economic opportunity had all been made available to them.
You had integration, not only race integration, but integration by class. Well-to-do whites living in close proximity to poor whites. Working class Blacks living in close proximity to Blacks and whites who were better off than they was.
In the 1890s, Jim Crow came to New Orleans. Public transportation was legally segregated. Omar Plessy, a Creole of color, challenged the law all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
Plessy was not an accident. There were activists in New Orleans who were very determined to challenge Jim Crow laws in that city. And when they passed the Railway Separation Act and required that Black people sit in the back of railway cars, there were people who thought that this was illegal and immoral, and they sought out to challenge it.
He was purposely chosen to be a plaintiff in the case because he looked white. And he had been mistakenly seated in the white section of the train. The whole argument was that until he identified himself as Black, there was no problem. Only when he told them that he was colored was the problems. And he was told either he sat in a section reserved for color or he had to leave the train.
Plessy, like Rosa Parks, was in the first class car of that railway to challenge this law. It's really startling when you think about that, because here, 35 years after slavery, is a very organized political movement led entirely by African Americans aimed at confronting Jim Crow through the legal procedures, through the legitimate procedures that change in American society.
In 1896, the court, in a landmark case known as Plessy versus Ferguson, sanctioned segregation as long as the separate facilities were equal.
Plessy was an extraordinarily significant case. It legalized Jim Crow. It legalized separate but equal. This was the court that spoke not just for the South, but for the whole of the United States. It could have been an opportunity for America to move up the timeline for racial reform and civil rights in this country. Instead, it was a terrific setback.
What Plessy basically says is that whatever the state is doing, the federal government is not going to get involved. They're going to let the state legislate segregation if they want to.
Federal government. We talk about the federal government now with oh brother. When them try to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, right? And even with the millions of signatures, it's still it's still not. But when you look on them and judge our people, there's nobody that represent anybody except one race, you know. There's no Chinese on the board, there's no Indians, there's definitely nobody there representing us. As we proceed,
They legislate segregation if they want to.
2 years later, the court allowed states to legally disqualify blacks from voting. In Louisiana alone, the black vote dropped from 130,000 to 5,000.
By 1899, 1900, it was becoming apparent African American rights and opportunities would be eroding from this point on. As political possibilities were taken away, vehicles for self-expression became all the more important in the Black community. Many people who could not express themselves politically found that music was a perfect vehicle for doing something individual, a different kind of self-determination, if you will. Taking the rules of 19th century music making, which was all about reading music, and tossing them and saying, I'm going to do this music my way instead.
Jazz burst forth like a trumpet sound. The kings and princes of jazz, like Sidney Bechet, Jelly Roll Morton, King Oliver, and Louis Armstrong, would pour forth wave after wave of joyous sounds.
What music did was to challenge the prevailing racial biases, that Black people were inferior, that they didn't have the qualities of thought and creativity and mind that would allow them to ever evolve into a race that could be treated fairly and equally. And what music did was to challenge that, because here was this enormously creative and quite compelling art form evolving in a way that was quite captivating to anyone who heard it, Black or white. It gave strength to the idea that Black people were capable of all kind of greatness. And it challenged the lie.
There was, over the course of the first years of the 20th century, a rising negrophobia, as it was called. A negrophobic attitude would look at a Black individual and only see beneath whatever middle-class exterior might be there, deep down, there is a savage. And only the control and the discipline and the surveillance of whites was able to keep that Black individual in check.
Almost all facets of American society had given in to that notion of racism. History, biology, psychology, sociology, philosophy, all talked about African Americans as being inferior, as being not equal, as being not worthy of equal treatment. One of the things that's happening at the same time is national advertising And all of those things that are associated with inferiority are being attached to the Black race. The message in the image was that African Americans were criminals, or on the edge of criminality. These images often are distorted African Americans. They're not real human beings. There's something out of kilter. There's something not right about them. Large heads, often with big lips, bulging eyes. Something's wrong. All of it.
That's so funny, people. I'm serious.
A person can't, what I say, a person can't say anything about you, you know. It doesn't make it true. Let me say everything with them people reflect off on other people.
It's just a reflection of themselves.
Oh, people. It's so illogical, right? Just a way to think that a person's skin is going to stop them from being unlimited. And the thing about it is that still happen today. Nowadays, it's even worse. Come tell us, with Donald Trump, I take out the DEI or whatever, right? They're erasing the greatness that we did. But I said, we're not supposed to be upset because this is going on from then. This has been happening for generation and generation and generation. And the next generation have to see this and make put a stop to it. Because I'm tell you, that this generation, right, money is their God. And they may do anything for money where them not going to enjoy anyways. So the distraction in today's society for us not to be who we're supposed to be, it's so much stronger now. Talk about TikTok mentality, short attention span, nothing to details. Once the headline then come out and then talk 2 words, then them gone on to something else. This is our story. This is our history. And we can't forget as we proceed.
All of these things are working to make real the notion of African Americans as inferior beings, as an inferior race, as people not like white people, but as people separate from them.
But one man won respect from whites because he publicly advised blacks to work within the system of Jim Crow. He was Booker T. Washington. By the turn of the century, Washington had become one of the most popular figures in America. He journeyed up and down the country, preaching the gospel of material wealth, moral virtue, and Christian character, while warning his audiences to avoid agitating for political and civil rights. He said that the best thing to do about civil rights was to let them alone and work at making a businessman of the Negro.
He started the National Business League while he was in Tuskegee so that people could learn how to start a business, make a business develop, and prosper. When I went to high school, they explored all the trades. The girls explored cooking, sewing, and handicrafts the first 2 years, and the last 2 years they specialized. The last 2 years of my high school, I specialized in advanced dressmaking, so that when I graduated, my high school diploma, like your college degree, shows that I have a skill in advanced dressmaking.
But Washington's optimism and his passion for industrial education was not shared by all. At Atlanta University in Georgia, the highly respected Harvard-educated sociologist and scholar of Black life, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, saw that despite...
Oh, we should have stopped it before female come up because I knew it was gonna be him, people. How did I know this man? How did I know this man's name was gonna? Yes, I read about this man before. But once you mention Booker T. Washington, you cannot mention Booker T. Washington without the nemesis for high society living. with them in paper. People, I'm telling us that sometimes the course over there on, our own people take we are fighting, uh, oh my goodness. As we proceed, people.
W.E.B. Du Bois saw that despite Washington's conciliatory efforts, racial terror continued to rage across the South. Although Du Bois had once supported Washington's program, he decided the time had come to challenge him. In 1903, he wrote The Souls of Black Folk with a chapter, Mr. Booker T. Washington and others. It was just this wonderful attack on all those who supported Jim Crow, including Booker T. Washington, and saying in a very forthright way, we cannot give up the right to vote. We cannot give up civil and political equality. We cannot accept being an unequal, subordinate race in America.
We claim for ourselves every single right that belongs to a freeborn American, political, civil, and social. And until we get these rights, we will never cease to protest and to assail the ears of America. W.E.B. Du Bois.
By the early 1900s, Washington was the most influential Black man in America. His critics called him King Booker. He received financial support from powerful industrialists, including Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. He was embraced by President Theodore Roosevelt. All of them enthusiastically endorsed his program of Black economic uplift within the framework of Black subordination and Jim Crow. As Washington's power increased, Du Bois's criticism became sharper, more personal.
He has accepted revised constitutions. He has acquiesced.
Tell the people, the more the man grow. And that I tell you, straight up, the more the manpower grow, the more outspoken him become. And this man used to support him before, And then him switch. And that me tell you, betrayal, left, right, and center, people. Betrayal. As we proceed.
Jim Crow car policy. He has kept dumb as an oyster in regard to peonage. He has even discovered that colored people can better afford to be lynched than white people can afford to lynch them. W.E.B. Du Bois.
In 1906, Washington visited Atlanta, a city in which Blacks had achieved success.
Atlanta was a boomtown, one of the most prosperous cities in the country. In fact, the only city.
And it still is, people. Atlanta, one of the most successful Black cities, still exists. Most of the people that in Atlanta, they're doing pretty good. I never been to Atlanta, but they told me that the business in Atlanta, it's being maintained. As we proceed, people.
That exceeded Atlanta for rate of growth was Los Angeles.
Booker T. Washington did look at Atlanta as a model for the kind of philosophy that he used about what were considered ideal race relations.
Atlanta was considered the most progressive city in the South, and what they could point to was concrete evidence. More Negro colleges than any other city in the United States. More African-American publication than almost any other city.
And people took real pride in the accomplishments of Black people. It made us feel vindicated and validated. My dad was so proud when he had visited.
People, that's their daughter. That's Dubois' daughter. My goodness. You have a daughter, people. As we proceed, past, present, and future.
To our home, he would take them on a tour of all of the schools, drive through the neighborhoods. So and so built that house, and he'd show them how blacks lived in Atlanta.
Booker T. Washington took a few success stories and tried to use that to show that, in fact, African Americans, if you played by the rules that I've established, that in fact you too could be successful. That was, of course, not the reality.
The reality was that Atlanta was one of the most racially segregated cities in the South.
W.E.B. Du Bois is one of the most intelligent, eloquent figures in the country. He's a teacher at Atlanta University, a dignified man. He always wears a suit. If he has an appointment with an attorney in the Candler building, he can't just go in and get in the elevator, no matter what individual merits he has. He has to wait for the freight elevator or walk up the stairs. The white elevator.
Beautiful, me. I telling you, said not change, you know. That is so true. Oh boy. That's how it still is, people. I have to take the elevator, or you have to take the stairs. Take the freight elevator. And them still have freight elevator when we have to cater, and we have to use the freight elevator to load up the food pan wherever we are go up on the building. Now, so if we bring it on the elevator, you know, but we have to enter the back. We still have to enter the back. We still have to do things from the back, people. That not change. As we proceed.
Operator is not going to take him upstairs. That's a place where Du Bois leaves the affluent black community, goes into the white community, and has to respect forms of segregation, of Jim Crow hierarchy, where his affluence, his intelligence, his education means nothing.
Racial tensions were intensified when Thomas Dixon's melodramatic play, The Klansman, opened in Atlanta.
Dixon's play presented in stark contrast the two strongest images in the South at this time. One image is of the innocent, virginal, defenseless 18-year-old Anglo-Saxon female. The other is the dark-skinned, leering, lustful, criminal, degenerate black man.
Jesus. Ah, people. So them people that have kids, these people that have kids before, I don't have kids. What do you think them people that teach them picnic? Huh? We were only practicing, so you guys are gonna change? No, it's not gonna change. Them are gonna teach them the same thing what them learn. And them are gonna teach for them picnic the same thing. Generational hate. Generational hate. You don't know enough people think that things change in a big way, you know. But we don't understand. We don't understand certain things. That's the problem. We don't remember certain things. That's the next problem. As we proceed.
And the latter is preying upon the former. And for him, there was only one solution to this: the Klansman.
The play glorified the Ku Klux Klan and denigrated blacks. Throughout the week of September 17th, the press reported incidents of rape, almost all of which later proved to be false. By Saturday the 22nd, white tempers were at the boiling point.
The streets were swelling with people. Extras were flooding the street corners. Second assault, third assault. At one point, a man got up on a box and started delivering a speech. We've got to do something to protect our white women. Packs of white men and boys began rushing from the train stations, from the hotel lobbies, from the theaters to the spot. You have by now about 5,000 people. The cries of revenge, of anger, of white retaliation against blacks increase. black messenger boy rides by him on a bicycle. Someone knocks him down. He gets up and tries to defend himself. 10 people swarm in upon him and beat him senseless, leave him bleeding in the gutter. This only excites greater bloodlust. So the mob begins to spread out. Packs of 100, 200 begin marching up and down the alleyways, trying to find black men and women working in the shops, dragging them outside and beating them.
Okay, all right. Now, if I demand them do the assault with them, say, right? Why drag out the woman them? What the woman them have to do with anything? The woman them not have nothing to do with this, you know. If it people we know it's a lie already. But if them are gonna punish the man them, why punish the woman them? Until you say them people are evil, you know. All of these people are some evil people.
Bringing black citizens into the city, mobs surround the car. If a black man or woman didn't fight back, he would be knocked down, kicked around, and then usually left alone. If he fought back, he was dead. This was downtown Atlanta. This was a few blocks from the police station. The state capitol was a few blocks up on the hill. The governor is up there.
As the mob rampaged, 13-year-old Walter White and his postman father, who were often mistaken for Caucasian, were driving through downtown Atlanta. Their fair complexion allowed them to safely pass through the rioters. Later, White would recall how they prepared to defend their home as the mob approached.
In a voice as quiet as if he were asking me to pass the sugar, my father said, "Son, don't shoot until the first man puts his foot on the lawn. And then, don't you miss." In that instant, there opened up in me a great awareness. I knew then who I was. I was a Negro, a person to be hunted, hanged, abused, discriminated against, kept in poverty and ignorance. It made no difference how intelligent or talented my millions of brothers and I were, nor how virtuously we lived. A curse like that of Judas was on us.
Walter White's experience would eventually lead him to become one of the foremost civil rights leaders in America.
Okay, and at this when they talk about the Ivy lynching, and him did go in at the town to find out what going on. This are the local youth, right? I'm telling you, it's all connected, you know, people. This are local youth, him. You see them talk about him became one of the investigator them for going at the town them, pretending to be a Caucasian person, and him get a pass. So we can't even. Oh boy, I'm telling you, know, people, it's that's why some of the dead them hang me, you know. I saw me know some didn't get hang, you know. That's all 100% sure. Me might not be Ivy, you know. Me feel say I was Ivy because when people ask about it, me say I was innocent. And most of the people, well, not most, all of the people them where them lie upon and trump up charge from were innocent people. And me tell you, say there's all sacrifices. Them sacrifice enough. So him grow up and him become like an advocate for black people. Even though him could have pretend say him at them, you know, and go about him business, go about him life. But from the Ivy case where them say, or him risk him life for going at them neighborhood, in them place here, to get the information, the truth. Him never run away from it, people. As we proceed.
The militia finally arrived in Atlanta to restore order.
After the riot, Washington came to the city and he tried to find a silver lining to what had happened. But in truth, this time, Washington's conciliatory attitude, it just didn't hold water for many people. This was Atlanta. This was supposedly the experiment that would prove what you projected in terms of racial uplift. We would cooperate with the white community economically. We wouldn't agitate too much politically. We wouldn't demand the vote that much. We would try to follow a good Protestant work ethic, buy a little.
We would try to mind our own business and on a mind for no business, but that's not how it ever work, people, because we don't have no business. We're not supposed to have no business. One thing we stress on ourselves for own our own business, you know. I don't know why that is so important. To say each and every one of us have some form of owning our own business. It never like you make $100 trillion. As long as we have our own business, so we can worry about food business, buy a sauce. Right? As long as we have a business where we can work on, focus on, can give to our kids, where our kids, when our kids can start it, anything. We just can't get up every day and be TikTok rich with no sense. As we proceed, people.
Follow a good Protestant work ethic, buy a little property, gain a little capital. We did that in Atlanta. And look what happened.
The riot reinforced Du Bois's growing resolve to exchange his scholar's life for an agitator's.
And in fact, the Atlanta riot convinced him more than anything else that the Atlanta or the South was not going to change anytime soon.
But if the South would not change, Du Bois would. He moved to New York in 1910 to join forces with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, a newly formed interracial organization.
And them again, you see. NAACP, and them still around even to today, people. But them not no teeth. Understand? Because from E.D. Du Bois, the mentality was to kick in the door, waving the 4-4, and get job. When it's not 100% of the people that are going to hire we. It's their job. If we did have our own community where we have our own job, we have choices. When we have to go big for a job, there is no choice. And even today, we don't have businesses where we can hire each other. We have no choices still today, people. We don't have no choice. Because we don't have one $100,000 restaurant that sell delicious food and sauces on the side. We don't have that, people. So for the future, this is what I say. Having your own business, doing your own thing, and then you can go get a job anywhere else as a part-time basis or something like that. But when you're dedicated to any company, and them ready to say them are moving in one different direction, them not take you. They're not taking you. Whatever you put in the company and you get paid for it, that's all you get. I mean, no say all upon your paycheck, them done rob you already. As we proceed, people, the NAACP and Du Bois tells them people if are suspect from way back then. As we proceed.
CP, a newly formed interracial organization that would become the driving force of the civil rights movement. Appointed the editor of the NAACP's journal, The Crisis, Du Bois was determined to forge the magazine into a weapon against Jim Crow. The Crisis battled racial discrimination, exposed atrocities and outrages against blacks, supported women's rights, and promoted race pride in the arts and literature. Within 4 months, the number of subscribers jumped from 1,000 to 6,000 and eventually soared to over 100,000. Du Bois startled his readers in 1912 when he supported Woodrow Wilson for president, even though Wilson was a Democrat and a Southerner. Wilson, he said, had promised fairness and justice for blacks. And
Okay, so again, I never really know about them Democratic and Republican thing there before, but until they say now I understand, so the Democratic them are the racist people, them where the KKK them change them hoods for and put on suit and tie for, right? So I'm telling you before, I didn't understand them things. I just hear about them things there. But going back and looking at these things, you can see it. Okay, now I understand. So it's getting clarity, people. So anybody can say this and anybody can say that. But once you know what you know, whatever they say doesn't mean anything. As we proceed, people.
Seemed a man of his word, but Du Bois warned Wilson what blacks expected from him.
We want to be treated as men. We want to vote. We want our children to be educated. We want lynching stopped. We want no longer to be herded as cattle on streetcars and railroads. We want the right to earn a living and own property. Be not untrue, President Wilson, to the highest ideals of American democracy.
Immediately after his election, Wilson gave the green light to 3 Southern cabinet members to segregate their departments. One white supervisor boasted, "There are no government positions for Negroes in the South. A Negro's place is in the cornfield." Du Bois attacked Wilson.
The federal government has set the colored apart as if...
Okay, so that much I show you that some people, them have an agenda, people. You hear me I say? Anybody will tell you say you're supposed to be an idiot is a good thing, right? Have them own agenda. It's either them stupid enough not to understand why education is so important, or them stupid enough to know say being stupid, right, don't mean nothing. So this is why them I tell you, oh, it's okay to be stupid. I always say, look, read something. I tell you how much books me read, you know. And I don't write no books yet, but from a little bit, me tells my handwriting is not that great, but I love writing. I love to write. So education is so key for the next generation. And for this generation, because we're not gone yet. We're still there. But if we sit down and just hope say something are going to happen, it's not going to happen. It never did. I'm going to say, if the people them are fight for something that we're supposed to be fighting for, right? Them can't get anything, accept anything for us. We have to fight for what we want. As we proceed, people, I tell you, so this man did one educated man still. You can't take away from knowledge, but if you are going to tell the people them say them to kick in the door, demand this and demand that, yes, what Booker T did I say it wasn't perfect, because we're not perfect. We keep on saying that we're not perfect, we're not perfect. So you never expect say everything is gonna work, but you could have worked with him to change things. Keep the fact that we wanna be educated, but still we still want one business. I think that if them did come together to work it out, it would have been much better. Instead of fighting against something that was created already. And Booker T. Washington schools still exist today. Yes, NAACP still exists too, yes. But what is it really doing for the black culture? As we proceed.
Mere contact with them were contamination. Behind screens and closed doors, they now sit as though leprous. How long will it be before the hateful epithets of nigger and Jim Crow are openly applied? W.E.B. Du Bois.
In 1915, The Klansman was made into a motion picture, Birth of a Nation. The NAACP launched a major campaign to ban it, as violence erupted in several cities where the film played. In Lafayette, Indiana, a white man killed a black teenager after seeing the movie. Elsewhere, gangs of whites attacked blacks on the street. And the Ku Klux Klan was reborn.
One thing about the birth of a nation and its link to Ku Klux Klan recruiting is not so much the numerical quality of it, but rather that ideologically it gave Northerners some form of rhetoric that helped them understand the racism they were already believing anyway.
In the midst of the battle against Birth of a Nation, Booker T. Washington died. Du Bois praised Washington for the good he had done, but said black people had made little progress under his leadership. Du Bois's...
I mean, I know all Booker T was a lead. The man was a... Look, let me try to show you, The man did so much. And after him pass off, and I still not going to give him credit for what him do. It's what he didn't do, no I look on. I'm telling no critic, Some of the worst type of people are critics. Look how much the man still have a university today. As we proceed, people. Time me hear about that brother E.D. Du Bois, it's never anything good. I just not see nothing good in a sense that yes, him educated, him dressed nice and all of them things there. As we proceed.
Progress under his leadership. Du Bois's battle with Washington was over, but his quarrel with Wilson continued. Wilson declared war on Germany in 1917. Although he supported the president, Du Bois did so reluctantly. He knew black soldiers would suffer in America's Jim Crow Army. In 1917, black soldiers of the famed 24th Infantry, 3rd Battalion, were assigned to Fort Logan outside of Houston, Texas.
Houston had the largest black community in the state of Texas at the time, and that was a threat to many white people. The police force there was very aggressive in enforcing the laws in that community, and the target of that enforcement strategy was frequently people of color. There was no commitment to law when black people were brutalized and tortured.
Oh boy. I said there's no commitment to law anytime, not just then. I'm telling you, eventually I have to go highlight them things because until I said just because the things that happen then and happen now and we forget it, no means that it's not consistent. You can switch back between any time and see the same thing happen. That's my want to connect the dot them because all the dots are already connected. We just forget to the dot them there, I tell you about the spider web that we are living in. I say it's a loop. All the whole time I did I say it's a loop. I feel like we're living in a loop. But it's not the loop. It's continuous. I'm going to highlight that video there too. Where the man said, we might think it's a loop, but it's not. It's continuously the same way. Because the same people them who started it in the first place are the same people that might keep it reinforced. Me no see nobody with $100 million want to give up $1 much less. Anybody with $100 million not think about humanity. They might think about profit. People who think about humanity is usually humble, right? Them usually just like Abraham Torrey, perfect person. Him humble, him refuse him salary. What the other people them say they want Bill Murphy 100, 200 mass? Him say no, give it schools, give it education. Why would this man want education? When education is not worth anything. Our education is worth so much. Our knowledge, because knowledge is power. As we proceed, people.
Black people were brutalized and tortured and murdered and assaulted by mobs and and through racial violence. The law was never there to protect you. And into that troubled environment was a Black battalion. And these were very proud soldiers who had fought for the country, who were not prepared to be subjected to the indignation, oppression, who had been taught to fight when their rights were in question, when their liberty was in question, when their survival was in question. You cannot brutalize an individual who has some self-respect, who believes that their life has meaning and dignity, and persecute that individual and marginalize that individual without at some point that individual standing up and saying, you have threatened my life, you have challenged my life, and I'm now going to fight back.
For months, Black soldiers had suffered non-stop harassment from the Houston police. On August 23rd, their anger boiled over.
Dear brother, I write you for the last time in this world. I am to be executed tomorrow morning. I know this is shocking news, but don't worry too much, as it is God's will. I was convicted at the general...
No, that much I show you. Oh, that a God will. That sound like the devil's will. I'm telling you, I don't give God so much credit, take so much credit from God. Like, me not understand people. When does the devil come into play? God, this are definitely devil work. God will if you say you get hanged for no reason. Foolishness, people. I'm telling you, say things I'm always say sometimes. We curse ourselves most of the time, you know. As we proceed.
Marshal held here last month, tried for mutiny and murder. It is true that I went downtown with the men who marched out from camp, but I am innocent of shedding any blood. Goodbye and meet me in heaven. Your brother, Charles Baltimore.
Charles Baltimore was one of 13 men condemned to die on the morning of December 11th, 1917. 4 months earlier, after being arrested without cause and beaten by police, Baltimore and 100 of his fellow soldiers marched into the city and opened fire. When the shooting stopped, 16 whites and 4 black soldiers were dead. 19 men were sentenced to death. The first 13 to die were not told of their sentence, nor the date of their execution, until shortly before they were taken to the gallows on the morning of December the 11th, 1917. They were denied their right to appeal to the president. The men requested to be shot as soldiers. The army refused their request.
All the army where the people them fight for refuse them. And that much I show you, know. Our story is not a pretty story, people. We cannot forget them things here, you know. We should not forget them things here, you know. Why we so surprised when we see Donald Trump do them things here, when these things has done so many times before, people? Enough of them things are going on and talk continue, you know, people. We not, you know, when we look on it, you know, I Google yesterday, you know. Yesterday I Google, right? The entertainers, movie stars, all the people them were pushing back against what Donald Trump is doing. And you know how much people me come up with, people? You know how much thousands of people me come up with? Zero. Absolutely zero. The same entertainer them will come out and I say, vote in this, vote. The same people where them up on string are come shoving our face and I say, oh, these are the people we're supposed to highlight. Them same people that sit down and not come out of their mouth. There's no football players, no basketball players. Nobody come out and say what they're doing. Nobody. The only people them are the people them, the lawyers and you know, the advocates for the people them from them country and stuff like that. Them have I read the story with one barber youth to them deport and them say him tattoo make him part of one gang, people. So you know, so we're part of a gang because all of we have the same skin, you know. the things that these people come up with, ridiculous, make no sense at all. But you see, once them say it, it becomes the law. That's why I say, where we are look on entertainers as people to speak for we, huh? Past, present, future, it's never gonna change until we decide that there must be a change. There's no organization, nothing, people. We don't have nothing, not even two lawyers, nobody, no set up, nothing to say, okay then. That brother they were run around and I collect one bag of money for all of the injustice for the victims them. Yes, he might collect one bag of money, but me not under like, isn't he supposed to be organizing some policies and things like that for say these things need to stop? Look how long them people have tried to say them need to stop. This one makes me so frustrated, people, because this is what I listen for. I listen to all of these people who have our skin color to be highlighting these, putting together things that's gonna change things, other than come and I show some. I say, yo, I tell you, I just start delete and just stop subscribe, Come and say them people have them platform, them can talk to thousands and thousands of people, but the things that they're saying is nothing uplifting, nothing positive, nothing. 5 days or 6 days a week, come on and a chat, pure garbage. Nothing. No issues take up to say, okay, today we are going to discuss this and what can be done. Looking at something because I could change it. I'm just understanding, say, it needs to be changed. And what I'm doing now, I'm going to change everything. But what I'm doing make me feel so good. I swear, I'm telling myself, people don't understand from the start of this, Just finding these amazing people, highlighting our story. It just tell me, said, yes, this is what's missing. Instead of them people here, just come on and just laugh and no issues. No solution. That's why I'm telling you, some of them people, them have their own agenda. And their agenda is not us. As we proceed, people.
Houston was not an ordinary outburst. They were not young recruits. They were not wild and drunkard wastrels. They were disciplined men who said, "This is enough. We'll stand no more." They broke the law. Against their punishment, if it were legal, we cannot protest. But we can protest, and we do protest against the shameful treatment which these men and which we, their brothers, receive all our lives, and which our fathers received, and which our children await. And above all, we raise our clenched hand against the hundreds of thousands of white murderers and rapists and scoundrels who have oppressed, killed, ruined, and robbed and debased their black fellow men and fellow women, and yet today walk scot-free, unwhipped of justice, uncondemned by millions of their white fellow citizens, and unrebuked by the President of the United States. W.E.B. Du Bois.
And them say it. The same thing did they set up for we picnic. And feed them picnic after them, and feed them picnic after them. Because they don't have to change anything. They don't have to change nothing. Because it's just the way it's supposed to be. I see the saying once, and I said the system is not broken. It's set up that way there. And if we look back, we can see it. So I saw it set up from before. How we can ask people to have it set for themselves to come set it for we? Tell us sometimes I might one personal life to fight them when I go through, you know. Just to see. Say if I was back in them days, them would have get hanged twice. And who said they're not going to hang me in this a lifetime? Because you know, so that's them favorite thing for doing, you know. But if we don't change it, people, it'll never change. The past, the present, is it gonna be the future? The past, the present is the same. And the only way it can change is unless we change it. And it now go take money. Because them people, when I say, them spend more money to make sure say you don't get no money. Every time I take them people I go to court and I beat them, I tell you some of the case them I go highlight some of the case when I fight them people, you know. For sure yourself from a day, I sum my mind. It's always been, if I work for something, I deserve what I work for. And I cannot thief all the time. And yes, enough time from some of them places and time I find out say them a criminal, and then know say them a criminal. Them don't want me around, because me not trust them. And them don't want people around where they can rob and can't thief from. The system is set that way. So we must always be a loser. Even though we are the winners. We hear the woman them talking, you know? When them amongst themselves, they can't be ordered. Them have them levels. So obviously them are going to fight against each other. But when them have we, where they can't dump everything upon, blame we for things but have nothing to do with we. We never tell them man to cheat upon them. We never tell them woman to cheat upon them. But just knowing say, them go through them things there, just like we too. But we not go around and take out for frustration upon them or upon anybody. That's why I say, for us to be the type of people we are unique. We're great. We just don't see it. We want somebody to come tell we. When me they are telling us we're not great, and we not have to embrace it. Respect each other. Manners respect enough. And just the little things them we do, you know. We're not doing, you know. We don't support each other. We don't respect each other. If you're gonna help me up. Don't help me down. Because it's not my duty to make one of we feel. That's not my duty. But some of us take it up like say with duty. Oh, them make this a gate and then left the gate open. So me I go stand up in the gate and make sure say me guard the gate. Guard the gate. So you keep us out and I keep them in. We have mental issue, that are one thing. We scare. We hurt. And them say hurt people want revenge. I mean say that. Hurt people want revenge. Because most of the time when people get hurt, they can't hurt the people who hurt them. That's the one thing we know for sure. Well, and I like say them can't hurt them, but them, I don't know. But I say, if the people them are hurt, the people them should get some of the medicine where them are dish out. Or if the people them want to get hurt, if them get the opportunity to hurt the people who are hurt them, trust me, them life would have been so much better after. But it's not for us to take it out on each other. We have to understand certain things, people. We can't be the enemy, no. We cannot be the enemy. We shouldn't be the enemy. How can we be the enemy when we are the last one higher and the first one fire? How can we be the enemy when we don't have no $100 million plantation? How can we be the enemy when we don't own 10, 30 plane, 100 Lamborghini? We can't be the enemy to each other. Because we are already an enemy of somebody else who try them best to wipe it out. Just for us not to exist anymore. Big up yourself. We cannot be the enemy, and if we stop treat each other like the enemy, we have to understand, say, if we don't love each other, nobody now gonna love we know. There's not one person out there gonna say it. You see, they need love. Right through history, everybody hate we. Right through history, everybody hate us, no matter how great we are. The man said, no matter how high you go, in the corporate, how much house you have, anytime them people are ready to do whatever to stop you from going any further, them come together to fight against you. That's why I say, I don't see all them people with so much money cannot create them own. I talk about Akon, the brother where did one build a city. I'm gonna tell you, say that was a good. I thought that was amazing. And then it just people then take video there and it's all bush up and everything, not done. Umar Johnson, a one person when say man make a Marcus Garvey for how much years now in coming like the thing that where them a refurbish from hospital at Jamaica for most it, me don't know, 9 years. That's why I say just because them have a good intention. It's just a good intention. Because much money they send Dr. Umar, me never send none, but no people say them send money and disappointed in the fact say the school not open yet, the Marcus Garvey school. Years him a try open that the school. Years him a collect money for it. He can never come out for no money. But those ideas are good ideas. I tell you that there's supposed to be a diaspora city in Jamaica. Where all of the people them from the diaspora, right? The entry to the city are them passport. I'm gonna start that with AI already, but you know, so me and AI know the on good term. Hey, what's up, AI? But would I love to even love to create it on paper, an idea to have a diaspora city, how it's set up. And it's gonna be safety first. You can't come in this city if you're not contributing to the city. Engineer, doctors, nurses. You can't just come there and say, well, we just want to be in the city. It's gonna be a community where everybody pretty much know each other. It's not supposed to be me have the biggest house and all. That's not what it's supposed to be about. You in the diaspora city, it's manners, respect all day, every day. A place where you can actually leave your door open. Because when me I got tea from you, when me not have. What more can thief from you that's gonna equal to I'll never thief again? What's this mentality where we have? Nobody's stopping you from getting your own. But if you just get it for show up on somebody else, say, look upon me have the biggest. Okay, so obviously you don't give up your soul already. Because that's not humble. That's not humility. Many people have it say them want the biggest, and before they get the biggest, then get boxed up and the biggest left behind for somebody else. We have to be better humans. But we have to understand, say, nothing is given to us. Even though we worth a lot more than we ask for, nothing is ever given to us. So as a race, we must always strive. We must always encourage each other. Help out each other. So I say I love my mother even now, no people. Sure. Just the fact that mom is not here anymore. I still carry her, you know. Because she educate. Your brain are the best brain you're going to use. Your brain what you have in your head are the best brain you're going to use. If you want to take it out and put in something else, that's not your brain. There's so much more to us people. But if you can't gravitate to the greatness, it's always going to be the same. Them come, then broke down this, then take away that, then. And we can't do nothing about it. I read today, say them have some museum in the States where them induct all of the people them were in a World War I or World War II where Medal of Honor and them things. And I say look on it. The same thing when I talk about the same thing what we supposed to have in Jamaica. 3 or 4 museum of our greatness. Tourist attraction. Memorabilia. Then go there and can get all a Bob Marley guitar, knockoff guitar, whatever. But we just say, we need to create it for our own. We supposed to have a Black Lives Matter street. We own that street, so nobody can come dig it up and because the government tell them so they not get no. And that me I try show you. Them supposed to say, okay, then fine. So the government now fund we good. But them say the government now fund them if they not dig up the Black Lives Matter. And them dig it up. Because when it comes to money, people, what we say? It just show we oh nothing. Absolutely nothing with them say mean anything. I'm telling you, same time I hear this Donald Trump when him attack and him say, oh, I'm gonna make Martin Luther King dream come true. And I say, wait a minute. I talk to my friend and I say, you know what me hear from Donald Trump? The man say, I'm gonna make Martin Luther King dream come true. And this a man I did it in an office before and he never make it come true. Why now? And Martin Luther King said, he make a grave mistake because he likes him leading people them in our burning building. So maybe at that Donald Trump then I talk about we finish it off. And literally at that him a do. Him a dig up everything with we association to us. So when we expect something from people we don't care, same thing with the politicians, them don't care. Them say them care, but them don't care. Because them have everything for them comfort. People, this is just part 2, because there's a 4-part series to the rise and fall of Jim Crow. And Jim Crow is pretty much segregation. And the same thing them I talk about now. The same thing them I talk about now. So, me not understand why the people are so shocked and surprised. When them have the right to do anything and everything what them want to do because the law back them up right through Rosewood. The policeman said turn him face the other side. And I like say them hang one person, Because when evil come together, the only thing it can come together for is destruction. I'm gonna tell you, say anywhere injustice there, somebody I get boxed up. Blood a run. Anywhere injustice there, blood a run. And that me have my hashtag. That are my hashtag. Anywhere injustice there, blood a run. It's sad, but it's the truth. Injustice is a killer. As we proceed, people, I talk about beautiful them people. There is natural beauty, All of them people, I'm tell you from the past, is so beautiful people. Them skin is so shiny. Them beauty is so natural. Boy, I'm telling the people, I love the fact that we're great, I cannot get over the fact how great we is. But if we not highlight ourselves, there's nobody's gonna highlight us. That's all I'm ask for, Is if we understand, say, we're in the same boat, similar situation. And the only way we can come out of this boat is together. I say it, we can't escape from Scooperville, but we can leave. We can't escape from Scooperville, but we can leave together. And Scooperville are the mental hell. The mental hell where we all under. But we have to change before the situation change. I say, more time, we don't need to talk to one little youth, talk to one little girl. Show them, say, them are the future. But it cannot be this way. It can't be the same way. Because eventually, we are going to end up back in the pig pen. And say, how we get here? And when we forget where we are come from and who we are. I just want to see better for we, you know. I just want to see where all of them people that fight for, die for, rebirth for. Justice for us on a global scale. Just like how Abraham Thoria fight, and they not stop try, after him. But me see other countries are joining him too. Me see other countries are joining him too, reluctantly. But them still are joining. And at 53 countries, right? If we get 30 of them together with the same mind fluidity, betterment, kick out the people them who don't care for us. Sometimes I get a ticket for go on, you know, people. We just have to, yo, what me say, I can't make my sauce anywhere in the world, you know. I can't make my sauce and back it up anyway, because me and my company, me not no brick and mortar. So, if me get a proposal, I tell some my own business, right? If me did have a team of people where I work on advertising, I work on this and I work on that. But when you by yourself, you can't even put up on decent thumb drive on what they call it? A screenshot on your video them. I'm gonna tell yourself for your greatness, it has no limit. We are then take we out of the Pandora box, you know. Once we broke the color barrier, we're out of the Pandora box. It's just us. People can make movies with video camera, with cell phone now. Why me can't put stories together will have meaning of us doing great things. Instead of putting us in the most stupidest form, why we not highlight the great people them? You are highlight to our next idiot, just show you the type of person you is, you know. When you laugh off of somebody downfall, just shows the type of person you is. Because if that funny to you, somebody a hurt the next person, a cheat the next person. You're not a good person if you have to take advantage of people. You're not a good person. Me don't know who telling us that just because some people are benefit from disgusting things we not do. Is not good people, just pretend to be good people. So type of people I'd rather stay far from. We're not supposed to bring down each other when others are spend money to bring you down. I pay to keep you in a certain mentality. All of the stupid things them I do and I promote. I want biggest destruction to fuel culture. And that's the reason you can't hang me for. The truth. I don't uplift nothing. I don't plant a seed. Nothing. I don't think say uno go there forever. The only way uno go there forever is stupid tape. Them want to make people go laugh off of uno. But at least one video make it educational, make it teach somebody something. If you know accountant, do an accountant video. If you know if you do maths, do a maths video. Do something positive, uplifting. Not just for other people, but for yourself. I tell you, highlighting these people make me feel so good. Real heroes. Sheroes, for them struggle, supposed to be in movies. Are we supposed to highlight our greatness? We're not supposed to wait for other people to do it for we. So you can't go and cheat on yourself and think that somehow it's going to make life better. It's not. It's going to make it worse for the next generation. And then we can say, boy, if we didn't know, we do know, do better. I'm out, people. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, first of all. I said some of them things, I know it's not going to be easy, but they're necessary to implant greatness within us. Like say it is gone and not just cover over. Anytime you get up and say good morning, good afternoon, have a nice day. And you can't tell that always there. Just say it. And we'll see if it is gone. Say respect and see if it did gone. Say more and see if it did gone. It never gone. It did it. I want to put it down. I'm out.